Hey guys, we're here at the lathe making our hammer handle. So what we have for a piece of material, this is something that's bigger than 1 inch. Mine happens to be a little bit bigger than 1 1/4. Or sorry, what would that be, 1 3/16. I cut it to length. It's going to be 10 inches when it's done, so I cut it to about 10 1/8 so we can face it down to exactly that length. And to do that, I'm not going to show you how to do the X and Z offsets. If you guys aren't sure on how to do that, go watch the video on that. I've already done mine here, so I'm going to come back over to this folder here. And on lathe number, let me double check this. On lathe number, it's clearing for you, 1, 4, and 5, you're going to push the MDI program conversions button to get into this folder. On lathe 2, you're going to push MDI D and C, and then after you're going to push the hand jog button. And on 3, you're going to push the MDI D and C button, and then you have to push hand jog twice. So MDI D and C and then hand jog right here. I'm on lathe number 1, so I'm going to push MDI program conversions. That'll get me into these folders. I'm going to arrow over to turn and face because I want to do a face. And on any of these folders, I'm only going to tell you this one time. Enter gets you into a folder, cancel gets you out of a folder. So I'm going to push enter. That'll get me into the bottom here. I'm doing a face. I want to cut off the face at the end of this. So I'm going to push enter. And actually, let me explain a little bit on these. So there's 4 folders that we're going to be using: the face, the OD turn, and then under chamfer radius, there's 2 of them. So face, the tool is moving this way. It's facing the end of your part. On an OD turn, the tool is going to be moving this way, cutting the outside diameter of your part. And the other 2, like I said, are OD radius. That's putting a radius, a rounded edge on the corner. And an OD chamfer, that's just putting a straight chamfer, straight cut on the corner. Those are the 4 that we're using the most, and you need to understand what all 4 of them are doing. So, like I said, for this time, we're going to go into the face. Our tool number is always going to be 1. Our work offset is always going to be 54. Our outside diameter is what I measured. It's 1 point, what did I say that was? Okay, our diameter is 1.186. When you type that in, it'll just 1.186. And your diameter is going to be different than this. So take a micrometer, make sure you measure your material. Do not just copy this number because then your numbers will be wrong from here on out. So, like I said, measure your diameter. And remember, the diameter is this. All the way across. Take a micrometer, measure it using a micrometer. Enter diameter to cut to. I usually leave that at -0.1. The reason for that is, as you're looking at this, the front side is going to be positive, the back side is going to be negative. So if you face through the positive to just 0, you're going to leave a bump in the middle. So you want to face past that bump just a little bit to clean that up. Z dimension, if you look at the picture, that's how much you're going to take off total on the end. I have that set to 30 thousandths right now. That's perfect. We're just trying to get rid of bandsaw marks. So that'll work. Depth cut, 10 thousandths per revolution. So each revolution the chuck makes, each time it spins around, it's going to move the cutting tool in 10 thousandths, which is a pretty good feed. Or sorry, I was spacing out here. Depth of cut, 10 thousandths. Feed per rev, 8 thousandths. Max RPM and SFM, those kind of work together. Where did I put my sheet at? When you're setting these up, you need to do it based off this sheet. So we're always going to do 2-1, always work offset 54. Depth of cut is on step 24 there. To find out the max RPM, it's SFM times 4 divided by diameter. And for mild steel, you can see at the chart there, our SFM is going to be 200, and our feed per revolution is going to be 0.008. So those are the numbers I was showing you up on the board, or up on the screen here. So SFM is 200. 200 times 4 gives you 800, and your diameter is almost 1 inch. I'm just going to call the max RPM 800. That will work. Now to go ahead and run this, first thing we need to do is press 5% rapid, and check on your screen. Make sure it changes right here on your screen. And I'll set you up down here so you can see what's going on. Now I'm just going to hold the run button, and then I'm going to push the green cycle start button on the interface. It's going to tell me to install 201. It's already in there, so I'm going to push it again. And then once it does its first pass successfully, it makes it all the way to the outside without crashing or hitting anything, just like it did right there. You can go ahead and speed your rapid up to 50%. And as this is cutting, if you notice it's leaving a little dimple in the middle still, pay attention to your tool height. If the top face of the carbide is cutting above the center or below the center, it's going to leave a little bit of a dimple there. Come get Mr. Branham, and I'll show you how to adjust that. Okay. So we got that all faced up. Let's go ahead and pull it out of the chuck. Let me see if I can do this one-handed. I can't. Sit you back down. Go ahead and pull it out of the chuck. Bring it over here to the layout block. And what we need to do, just like any time we use this, we need to take it all the way down to the bottom of the table. Make sure it's all the way zeroed out. Now we're going to take this. And we're going to go ahead and measure the length of our part. So I'm at 10.105. You guys can't see that. 10.105. I know that because I'm at the 0.1. Remember, this reads when this is at 0. So 10.1, and then we're 0.5 past. So I need to take off 105 thousandths off of the yellow end. So let's go ahead and bring this back over here. Get it checked back up. Switch back down real quick. Check it back up. Come back over to my facing folder here, and I'm going to change my Z dimension to 0.105, and I'm just doing that real quick while I'm thinking about it. I need to go ahead and do my Z offset again, so I'm going to start my check. 1000, hold the button, push forward. There we go. I'm going to go into hand jog. See kind of where I'm at here. Drag my X in a little bit further. Drag my Z in until I see that chip. Drag my Z phase. I'm going to go back into my facing folder. 5% rapid. Cycle start. Like I said before, once it does this first pass, and it successfully makes it all the way to the outside edge without crashing, I'll go ahead and speed my rapid up to 50. Okay, looks like we're all done. The next thing we need to do is we need to take one of our center drills, and we're going to drill about halfway up. It's got the big taper on here. We're going to drill about halfway up in both ends of this. To do that, flip it around here. To do that, we need to understand how our tailstock works. So the tailstock is this whole thing right here. This is the lock. So when you feed it out, it won't feed back in. We'll lock that when we're using the live center. On the side here, this is the lock for the whole carriage, so it won't move forward and backwards. Obviously the hand wheel to extend your carriage in and out. On these have a tang on them. So what you need to do is move your tailstock out far enough. I don't think you can see it from there. So you can see these numbers. If you can't see the numbers, your drill chuck will not stay in the tailstock. So once you have it out so you can see the numbers, you can put your drill chuck in there, just rotate it a little bit, and you'll feel that tang kind of lock in. And just pull it out and slam it in there. And it's just a taper fit that holds it in. To get it out, all that you're going to do is back it out until you get past the numbers, and it'll pop it out. So be careful as you're backing that out not to do that. I'm just going to take my tool post, I'm going to back it all the way on the X. I'm going to go as far as I can to the left on the Z. Kind of keeping an eye on the tip of the tool, making sure I'm not going to hit anything. Another important thing to do too is spin your chuck and make sure you're not going to hit any bolts or anything down here, because we are starting to get pretty close. Now we'll go ahead and take the tailstock, go ahead and move it until it's about that close. You take the tailstock lock, go ahead and lock it down. Now go ahead and close the door. Type in 800, hold the button, push forward right here, and that'll start your chuck at 800 RPMs. like I said, we're just gonna go in here and drill till we get about halfway up that big caper on there. And it should get. Okay guys, now when you go ahead and check it up this time, according to our drawing, we're going to be creating that 1/2 inch feature, this piece right here. It's 6 inches out. It's going to be a diameter, remember the circle with the line through, it's the diameter symbol. Diameter of 1/2 inch when it's all done. 6 inches long. So we want at least 6 inches sticking out of our chuck. And all that I'm going to do is take a ruler, measure to the end of here. I got 7 inches, so I've got an extra inch towards my chuck. I went ahead and did my Z offset on the end here already. And all that I'm going to do is back out my tool and then maybe bring it over just a little bit. And all that's going to let us do is figure out where we need this set. So I'm just going to slide that until it bumps up against there. And then you can go ahead and move your tool out of the way so we can lock the lock. An easy way to do that is on these folders. If you come up here to manual, that lets you move these hand wheels manually, so you don't have to use the hand jog right here if you want to use it that way. So I've got this out of the way now. Now I'm just going to go ahead and lock my tailstock. Move my live center out, and you want this in there so it's snug. And then I'm going to go ahead and lock this. So as we're cutting, this won't back out any. Before you start this, we need to bring our tool over to roughly where it's going to start at. Make sure you don't have any interference issues here. Make sure you're not hitting anything down here. And it looks like I am good to go. So now let's go cancel. We're going to come in here to the turn and face. We're doing an OD turn, remember, because we're going to be cutting this way. And let's get this all set up. 2-1, offset 54. We want it to start from 0. That's just where we zeroed it at the end of our part. So we're going to leave it at 0. Our current outside diameter, what did I write down here? 1.186. And like I've said before, your diameter is going to be different than what mine is. So make sure you take a micrometer and measure your diameter. Okay. Diameter to cut, we want it to cut to 0.5. Z dimension is how far in we want it to go. 6.0. Depth of cut, we're going to go ahead and bump our depth of cut up a little bit. 0.03. Feed rev, 0.008. Max RPM, we're going to slow that down a little bit because we're taking a deeper cut, so 600 RPM sounds good. SFM of 200. Fillet radii. We don't want it to put a rounded corner in the end here. We want it just to have a nice square corner, so we're going to leave that at 0. And 0315 is our tool nose radius. So let me get you set up here. Go ahead and close the door. Turn on 5% rapid. Make sure to verify that on your screen. You can go and hold the button and push cycle start. And remember, as this is cutting, there is a potential for a crash here on the front. On the front of the machine, so there is potential that it might hit the chuck if you entered that Z dimension number in wrong. So make sure you are paying attention to what you're doing. And also remember, once it gets to the end here, everything looks good, we're happy with it. We can go ahead and speed our rapid up to 50%. Looks good to me. You see those chips as they're coming off, they're nice and short, they're not big, long, stringy chips, that's what we want. As this is roughing, you can come into the feed rate override here, which is this button right here, and you can bump that up to 150%. Once it gets close to the 1/2 inch diameter, we're going to speed or slow that back down to 100%, just so you get a nice surface finish. looks like we're getting close to that 1/2 inch diameter, so I'm going to slow my feed rate back down to 100%. Okay, so we have that 1/2 inch diameter cut on there. Let's go ahead and set you back up right back here real quick. Go ahead and check it with my micrometer. Looks like we're a little bit over, but it's also pretty warm. So as it cools down, it'll get a little bit closer to where we want it. Yeah, it looks like we're 0.506, about 6 thousandths over, which will account for some thermal expansion. What we want to do is we're going to thread that last 650 thousandths right here. And we're going to cut that down to a diameter 475 so it threads a little bit easier. So let's go back into our folder here. Diameter we want to cut to 475. Z dimension 0.650. Depth cut, we're going to shrink that down to 0.01. And our outside diameter right now, like I said, is 0.506. Yours is going to be different on that. Make sure you're using your number that you measured because it won't cut to 475 if you are not using that number right. Okay, once that's all set up, let's go ahead and cut that 5% rapid, cycle start. Let's go ahead and mic that real quick and check it. So we can do this one-handed here. 475 looks good. Okay guys, now I've changed my setup a little bit here. I took the live center out, put a drill chuck in. And it's really important when you're doing this to make sure your drill chuck little fingers that are on here, make sure those are all the way in the drill chuck so that this surface is flat. And then you're going to want to go grab the 1/2-13 die. If you look on there, it says 1/2 right there, 1/2-13. And looking at this, there's going to be a side that kind of has a little bit of a taper to it, and then on the other side, these cutting edges are going to come out all the way. It's kind of hard to see there. I guess you can see it a little bit right there. There's no taper to them, so we want to start with the side that has a little bit of a taper. That's going to go in first, just like that. And then we're going to take a little cutting oil or anchor lube, and just put a little bit on the end there. That'll help a lot with the cutting. I'm just going to put that on there, and I'm going to move my tailstock very, very gently up against it to hold it. Don't put pressure on there. You can break these dies. We're just trying to help hold it square. Okay, and then all that I'm doing is just spinning the chuck by hand and rotating my die in. Go in a little bit, then back off a little, break the chip off. Go in maybe a full revolution, back up, break the chip off. Back up, break the chip. And it's not a bad idea to back all the way off. Okay, you gotta move your tailstock. To back that all the way off, put a little lube in these threads. Just be careful when you go to restart it. Make sure you're cutting on the right thread, you're not cross-threading with the die. Okay, back off a little bit. And we're just gonna go into that shoulder that we made. That's right there. And once you make it into the shoulder, run your die back off, flip it around. Like I said before, be careful when you start that because you can cross thread these and mess your threads up. And all that you're doing by turning this around is you're just squaring up those threads a little bit. You're getting rid of that taper that the die leaves on there. And this die, stays over in this gray cabinet here, and this yellow tote. When you're done with it, please put it back in there. So now what we're going to do is we'll go ahead and flip this around. Make sure not to chuck up on your threads because you'll mess those up. And we are going to turn this side down now. Okay, I've got it set up similar to what I had before. Got our live center in here. What I'm gonna do, just like I did before, I'm gonna bring my tool. Remember, I am in manual mode up here. I'm gonna bring my tool close to the end there. Make sure I have clearance down there. Make sure I have clearance up here. Nothing looks like it's gonna hit. Let's go get our OD turn folder set up. So come over here, OD turn, tool 1, offset 54, start point 0, outside diameter 1.186. Diameter we want this to cut to. Let's look at our drawing here. It looks like it's gonna be a 1 inch diameter, 4 inches long. Diameter cut 1.0, Z dimension 4.0. Depth cut, we're gonna go with 30,000 scan, 0.03, 0.008 per feet per rev, and all this should be set up from when we used it before. So 600 RPM, 200 SFM, 0315 tool nose radius. And also, when I checked this up in the lathe, I left about an inch there because I don't want to be hitting my chuck. And also, we're gonna change one other thing. If I leave this at 4 inches, it's going to cut all the way to the edge here, and it's gonna leave a little shoulder here. I want it to cut a little bit past. We got a bunch of air right here. So let's set that to 4.15. 4.15. 5% rapid. And second start. Okay, and while we got it all checked up, let's go ahead and check that and see, make sure we're at an inch. Sure. Yeah, we're a little bit over, but it is a little bit hot right now too, so I expect that would come down to size. So since we're checked up, it looks like we're going to do a, see if I can shoot this so you can see it. We're going to do a radius on both sides of this. Let's go ahead and do this radius while we're here. I'm just going to cancel out of that, come over here to chamfer and radius, OD radius. We want it to start at 0 at the end. Our outside diameter is now 1.0. Mine is actually 1.004. Put in whatever your diameter is, make sure to mic it. The radius I want is a 0.075. Depth of cut, we'll leave it 10. Feet per rev, leave it 8. Max RPM, 600. 315, 200. 5% rapid. Second start. Put a little bit of radius on there. Then we're going to go and flip it around and go ahead and put the radius on this end. Okay, I got it flipped around. Go ahead and did my Z offset off this, X offset off that, and remember to use your new diameter of what you cut this down to. Now let's go over into chamfer and radius, OD radius, tool 1, offset 54. We're going to start at 0, where we zeroed it at the end there. 1.004 is my diameter. Like I said, make sure you're using whatever your diameter is. Radius. According to the drawing, that's going to be a radius of 0.05. So we'll go ahead and type in 0.05. Depth cut 10, feet per rev, 0.008. The rest of that should be good to go. Let's go ahead and close the door. 5% rapid, cycle start. That should give you a real nice, see if I can focus on there, real nice radius on there. Okay guys, we're ready to start putting some knurl on here. First thing we need to do is we need to take off this tool. To do that, you can just push this handle on your tool post over. The tool will slide out. You can just set the tool there. We'll put this back on for the next person. But the knurling tools are over here. It is this tool right here. Go and drop it on the tool post. Tighten that back down. And I'm going to go into the manual folder right here. And what we'll do is we'll get this kind of close. So our knurl is going to go, obviously, from the start to the end here.
Can I have a custodian come to the main office, please? A custodian to the main office. Thank you.
And what I want to do is I want to make sure my tailstock is set up to be as close as it can be, because we're going to put a bunch of force on this. So I just slid that in until it bumped up against my carriage. I'm going to go ahead and feed it out a little bit. Go and lock the tailstock down. Move my tailstock until it's tight. Go ahead and lock that down. And then, like I said earlier, make sure you can make it all the way to there before you hit on the tailstock. So we'll bring it back to where we're going to start. I'm going to rock this up so that both wheels are hitting. I'm not sure if I can do this one-handed. And we're just going to feed it in just until, start at the very start here, feed it in just until there's a little bit of pressure on both of these wheels, and you can't spin them anymore. That's perfect. Then what we're going to do, let's put a little bit of anchor lube on there. Doesn't take much, about like that. And over here on the controller, we want to start the chuck, so 40 RPMs is what we want. That'll type 40 in right there. We're going to go and push forward, and that will start your chuck rotating. Now, once we start pressing these knurls in, you do not want to back up your X until you're happy with the knurl that you've got. So I'm going to come back over here. We're going to go hand jog. I'm going to make sure I'm on my X. And I'm also, this is super, super important, make sure this is set to 0.001. 0.001. And then verify it. Make sure it changed. Now I'm going to start jogging this in the negative direction. Really slowly. I'm just going one click at a time. Knurling is a slow process. Take your time, because you can screw up your whole handle pretty quick here. So I've gone about 20 thousandths in, 20 clicks on the hand wheel here. And I'm just going to push reset real quick. And I'm going to take a look at my knurl. And those come up to nice points. I'm happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit more. A little bit more lube on there, and we are going to push forward on here to start it again. I'm going to switch to my Z, and then I'm going to really slowly start feeding this positive. And when I say slow, I'm going pretty slow. And this whole process takes quite a while. I'm not going to film the whole thing, but once you get to the end, make sure you're happy with it before you back it out, because you can always switch back to your X and go negative another, whatever, a couple thousandths, 5 thousandths is a good spot to start, and press those in and go back the other way. But as soon as you back it out, you can't go back in and fix that. So make sure you're happy with it. Then once you're done, go ahead and back it out, unlock your tailstock, push it back over where it goes, take the live center out, put it back over in the holder there, and then take your knurling tool out and put that back over on the tool post. And then you can put the regular cutting tool back in. Then just take the anchor lube, take it to the sink. Take your whole hammer handle to the sink. The anchor lube is just water-based, so you can just wash that off with some water in the sink. And then you are all done. Go ahead and turn it in, and you can get started on your hammerhead if you haven't got started on that already.